Hey guys, hope everything is going well. You guys know that drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below. Follow me on Instagram at AIH underscore sports. Follow me on my finance channel at AIH Finance. Okay, so I was watching this clip of Cardfather. He runs that, I think, Burbank store out of Southern California. And he mentioned that, hey, we need to make sure that, or what would help the card hobby over the long run is you need to have card packs basically at gas stations. You need to have it all over the map, okay? Just to get more eyeballs on card packs. And we discussed a little more strategies of how you could get more individuals, more younger people in the hobby. Now, I was thinking about this, and some people have commented saying that, hey, look, you don't understand, with some of the things going on and, getting the kids in the hobby, you know, what you're saying will not help. Now, I have to look at it from when I grew up as a kid, right? First of all, before I get into that, in order to get people into cards, sports cards, they need to be watching sports at a young age, right? And you have to remember, these days, a lot of the sports are on cable, okay? I discussed this with my buddy John sometime last year, and he discussed that, hey, look, if you want to watch the Nationals, he's a Nationals fan, you can only get that on cable. And for me now, if I wanted to watch the Cubs games, I have to watch it on Marquee. It's a new station that Theo Epstein wanted to work on so the Cubs could get additional revenue so they could compete against the East Coast teams like the Red Sox, the Yankees, and then you could look at the Dodgers on the West Coast. And now you had the pandemic, so the rollout of Marquee wasn't smooth per se, but that wasn't their fault. Now, I'm thinking that, hey, when I was a kid, I was able to see the games on WGN, and all over the country, people were able to see the Cubs games on WGN. This is how the Cubs became, a national brand. And you had famously Steve Stone and Harry Carey doing the games while I grew up. And you didn't need cable for WGN if you lived in the Chicagoland area. Now, with all of these sports leagues, right, or sports teams, if you look at the Yankees, right, they have the Yes Network. You have, here in Chicago, it's Marquee. And my buddy John said that they have their own, you can only watch the games on cable. How can you grow a bunch of people, or how can you get a bunch of people in the hobby when you have all of these games on cable, right? Not everyone has access to cable. When I was younger, I don't think we had cable, maybe fourth, fifth grade, if I remember correctly. And I used to watch the Cubs all the time, right? I used to just sit down and get really close to the TV, which wasn't a smart idea. And I used to just watch them all the time. So before you get people in the hobby, how do you get more people that are going to be sports fans, right? You could get someone in their 20s and they could start ripping packs. But the thing is, they need to be sports fans probably at a younger age. Now, you could pick it up. There's no doubt about it. When my dad came to this country, he was watching the Bears games, right? The 85, 86 Super Bowl team, right? I was in my mom's tummy at that time, but my dad was like jumping up and down at that time. Bears won the Super Bowl, okay? And you have to also look at the fact that those games really weren't on cable. So when he didn't have that much money, he was able to watch those games on regular TV, and he was able to watch, when the Cubs were in the playoffs in the 1980s, right? He told me specifically 84. I forget what this first baseman was. The ball went down this guy's legs, and the Cubs blew the 84 playoff series, right? I think this was the year they traded for Sutcliffe, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, Cubs could have gone to the World Series that year. And I remember my dad telling me these stories when I was young. And I think it was similar to the situation of Bill Buckner in 86, where the ball just went down his legs. So I'm just saying that, hey, because of, the games not on cable, my dad, who didn't have that much money at that time, my parents didn't have that much money. My dad was able to watch these games, and he was able to tell me these stories as a kid. And then I got hooked onto sports as a kid, right? It was a great escape from reality. And now, just imagine, if you don't have that much money, right? If you're in the situation of my dad, when you're young, and then you have a kid, like, are you going to be showing the guy as many games, or gal? Are you going to be able to watch as many games? Probably not. Okay? So I'm just thinking, okay, if I were Fanatics, right? What would I try to do? I would try to I'd try to work with sports teams to be like, hey, look, why don't we try to sponsor or pay half of the load to get the kids to the games, and then on top of it, there could be some sort of marketing sponsorship from Fanatics where you give the kids, a pack of cards. I think something like that would help in the long run, because all these guys and gals running these companies, it's always about short term, but they're not looking at the long run, right? When the Cubs are looking at, hey, look, we can get the free agents, right? You can get the free agents with your marquee network, but are you going to create the next round of fans who are 8, 9 years old? You could, right? It's a generational thing here in Chicago, right? The dad or the grandpa, passes down the torch to the kid, and then when they have kids, they tell their kids, hey, we're going to go to Wrigley Field. We're going to go as a family, right? But now if you go to a game, I was watching Million Sports, or the Million Cubs channel. I've had him on. And he made some really good points. He was saying that, hey, look, it's really expensive going to a Cubs game, right? And I suggested, hey, look, why don't you buy the tickets, 4 or 5 months in advance from a broker on Vivid Seats or on StubHub, because they want to at least get some cash flow in, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you want to get more people involved in sports cards, I think it needs to come from the sports teams. And what can Fanatics do? I think they need to do some sort of marketing with them. One last note, I remember listening to a podcast from the Cardboard Coaches, and they had on Miles, aka LFC Gooner, and he was talking about, hey, when he was a kid in, I think, near San Francisco, San Jose area where he grew up, they used to take them to the games, or it was really dirt cheap to go as a kid, right? I think they sponsored kids to go to the games, and now as adults, they could go to the game saying, hey, look, I remember this as a kid. I had a lot of fun. And he was talking about one player, I forget what his name was, and that I think he was, Filipino American, and he's on, I think, the team. I don't remember the name, but, that program helped this individual get involved in hockey, and he's playing in hockey right now. So that's a pretty amazing story. So if you have the teams or Fanatics invest in this type of thing, which would be more of a long-term, in my opinion, investment, I think you could get a lot more people in the hobby, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen, right? I think they may try to use influencer marketing, which I think is not the way to do it, but that's not me. Influencer marketing may work in other industries, but not for this. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below, guys. Thank you. Bye.